Hey, what's up, B-Stellar crew? How you doing? Another podcast, another week. Today I have a special guest. It's my cousin. Her name is Branka Romic. She actually has a business in holistic nutrition, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, cuz, it's good to have you on.
Yes, thank you. Very good to have you here.
We've been talking about it for a minute, right?
Yes.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, like who you are, where you come from, and what kind of business you do.
Sure. My name is Branka Romic. I'm board certified in holistic nutrition, and I have very much been in the field of holistic healing, energy work, understanding our emotions. And this has really been a very long journey because I'm 36 and a half, and I think it's been my entire life that I've been on this journey of holistic health and really understanding what healing means. I am the owner of BZen Wellness, which is an organization that focuses on holistic health, holistic nutrition. It's based on traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, which are two of the oldest forms of healing. So are you familiar with those at all?
I just know like a little bit about Eastern medicine and Western medicine. Is that what you're kind of referring to?
Yes. So traditional Chinese medicine is TCM. So that's where we're focusing on the elements that are connected to the universal elements. So like we have air, fire, earth, wind. Those same elements are in our bodies associated with different organ systems. Okay, so holistic nutrition is not about symptoms. It's not about specifically healing one part of the body. We're looking at the body as a whole system. So everything needs to work in balance and in congruence. So with BZen Wellness, we cultivate the healing response within the body.
Okay, that's fantastic. Wow.
Yes.
So, and you also focus on actual root cause instead of just
and
fixing one thing and giving people another thing or something like that.
So I have an issue with hearing root cause because it's way overused.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about getting to the root of you. Right. So there's nothing happening from the outside that's causing the imbalance. It's all happening within our bodies. So it's about cultivating the balance with our organ systems to have a full body peace or balance happening. So there's really no root cause. You're the cause, but we're trying to get to the root. So you detoxified, you purified, you clarified so that you can live in balance. And that's where all the organ systems are connected. So with Ayurvedic medicine, they focus on like the chakra system. Different colors, different energy systems. Same thing, there's a different organ system associated with each chakra. So each organ system will have a different set of cravings, a different set of emotions that come up when we're deficient in nutrients. So our body is always telling us what's wrong. We're just not always paying attention.
Wow. So who would be your potential client, let's say? So what are the symptoms that a person could have to be like, you know what, I need to contact BZen Wellness because I need advice on how to heal myself, how to get better. What kind of clients are you looking for? Like, what is your clientele?
Yeah, so our clientele varies. We have people dealing with a whole bunch of different physical symptoms. But also, if you go on bzenwellness.org, you see a whole description of what it means to heal. And like you said, everyone has the ability to heal themselves. BZen Wellness guides you into that healing state by giving you the information and knowledge of how to eat, not necessarily just what you're eating, but how to eat, how to get the body stimulated and create that healing state. So we deal with clients that are just struggling with anxiety and depression, with a lot that's actually on the rise now with everything happening in society. Learning how to find that inner peace. Some people come to us when they've already been diagnosed with something like diabetes or high blood pressure, and they don't know how to shift their lifestyle.
Does that come mostly from stress? I mean, obviously diabetes is from like overeating, too much sugar.
And that's the thing. Stress has a lot to do with everything. So usually when people are stressed out, it'll affect the entire body. Usually it just takes, like autoimmune disease, usually takes years and years before the person gets any symptoms that you will see on a lab result, right? So usually somebody that's diagnosed with hypothyroidism in their 50s has really been dealing with symptoms back in their 20s. They just weren't paying attention.
So what would be the symptoms for that? Like, how would you?
Yeah, so I focus on emotions a lot with my clients. I feel like emotions are the magical secret that we oftentimes are taught to suppress or repress or be strong and don't show your emotions, but really emotions are showing us what's going on in a certain organ system. So for example, some people that tend to be sad or have a hard time of letting go all the time, that's a huge indication that something's deficient in the lungs. So our lungs are
Wow.
associated with the energetics of letting go, grieving, or sadness. So if someone's constantly in that state, what do? We label them as depressed.
And they're
Get
popping
over
out
it.
a bunch of depression medication
Right.
and
And
stuff
that's
like that.
really not solving the problem. So what we really need to do is focus on different nutrients, focus on breathing exercises, focus on meditation. And it's not even about identifying what the cause is, like the specific nutrient or the specific event, because a lot of times it comes to trapped emotions that our body just catches on. We don't know how to process them, and they become a part of our body. So we're constantly reliving these emotions, and we don't know why. So when you start cleaning up the way you're eating, you start bringing in clean water, good sleep, healthy nutrients, nutrition, exercise, your body starts to let go of that trapped emotion, and you start to feel the freedom that you've been looking for.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know I read a little bit of stuff about like Eastern medicine and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you said root cause is not
Yes.
the word, but a lot of times, pretty much what you're saying is if we're like sad, if we're getting sick, if we feel sick, it's usually like emotions or some kind of trauma we're dealing with, or something that we need to maybe let go, or.
Right. So a lot of times the emotion will come first.
Mm-hmm.
So an emotion we can't process, or an emotion that's just always there, is an indicator that there's a deficiency in that organ, right? So if somebody doesn't deal with the emotion or know how to handle it, know how to shift it, know what foods to bring in, that eventually turns into a physical ailment.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I remember growing up, we used to come over for barbecues and we ate a
Mm-hmm.
lot of meat and all that stuff. And what, like about 10 years ago, you said, screw it, I'm not going to eat meat no more,
Yes.
and all that stuff. So why did you decide to do that?
So originally I became vegetarian 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was spiritual reasons. So at that point in my life, I wasn't thinking plant-based is healthier. My connection was a spirituality reason. So it was very much about not wanting to be the reason that something has to die in order for me to enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
meaning animal-wise.
Okay.
Not necessarily plants, but animals.
Okay. All right.
So that vegetarianism or plant-based is not necessarily right for everybody. Something that we teach with BZen Wellness is you should never feel deprived.
Okay.
So there are plenty of healthy alternatives to certain things that people enjoy eating. So if I really enjoyed eating meat, it wouldn't make sense for me to stop eating meat if I didn't want to stop eating meat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you don't want to force it. BZen Wellness is a way of life, right? So it's not just about losing weight, getting into a certain size, because that's not going to make you feel better. The goal is to shift into your best self by creating your lifestyle.
Okay. And you're all about spirituality too.
Yes.
So it has a lot to do. So like what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
How about like the people you hang out with? Like if you're hanging out with negative people, how can that impact your wellness? Can that impact your wellness?
It can definitely impact your wellness. We're all energetic beings, right? So the more that you become who you are, the more that you grow into yourself, even those negative people start to dissipate. You become to elevate and you find more like-minded people that vibe the way you do. So usually if you're really into health and wellness and nutrition, you start to shift towards meeting people that are in that same framework.
Because you kind of start attracting.
Right. So BZen Wellness is a perfect harmony of spirituality and nutrition. It's really hard for me during classes not to talk about spirituality and energetics while I'm talking about nutrition. They're actually one and of the other. Like once you start eating cleaner and your nutrition's on point, you naturally become more spiritual.
Wow.
Because it's a detoxification. So you become
more
aligned.
What we eat is who we are, pretty much. I've heard that a lot.
And it's actually like there's other ways that like you are what you can absorb, first of all. So if you're eating really healthy food, but your digestive system isn't up to par, you're not absorbing it.
Wow.
So it's going through you.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what you eat, is if your body can absorb it.
Right. So your body has to be at a certain point where you are actually then absorbing most nutrients.
Wow, that's really cool. So when you have your workshops, what is the typical client that you usually that come turn to you for guidance? Like what kind of symptoms, let's say, do they have?
At the workshops?
Yes.
So most of the workshops attract people that are interested. They've heard of holistic nutrition, but they don't really know what it is. So in the area, we do a lot of intro classes.
Okay.
So last season, we started doing specific organ systems and how they relate to the season. And then we build on top of the intro classes. So for example, spring is associated with the liver in traditional Chinese medicine. There's correlation. So everything that's happening outside and we see the leaves changing and flowers blossoming, that's happening within us as well. So that's why the spring and summer are great times to detox. So it's like you start thinking of a bigger picture. Like we're not just people living in this universe and this nature, we are part of the universe. So just like in the winter and fall, things get dark, quiet, sad, that's happening within us as well. So we tend to shut down, we need to hibernate. Sadness needs to come up, but that's when our lungs are activated. So there's emotions that happen through the year that are normal. And you shouldn't force yourself into shifting them. That's traditional Chinese medicine and focusing on the elements.
No, this is some really good stuff.
Yes.
Like I know me and you talk a lot about,
we
always text and all that stuff, but we never really dove this deep into it. So I'm actually excited that you're on the podcast.
You have not been to one of my classes yet, so
I need to come.
Yeah.
I need to come. That's why I asked you earlier if we can do maybe some type of Zoom consultation or something. Because I do live in Missouri and you live in Northwest Indiana. So for those of you guys that need a holistic nutritionist, that you're in Northwest Indiana, because we are listened here a lot, okay? Make sure you hit up my cousin. I'm going to put all the contact information in the comments. So how many people how often do you run your workshops?
So it's been sporadic, right? So it's I'm more based on one-on-one with my clients. But when we do workshops, it's like once a month, depending on the topic, the time of year, where I'm actually planning on doing a BZen Wellness 5K-ish in like the end of May, beginning of June, where we're going to do a 5K fun run. And we're going to learn about what happens in the body when we work out, what type of nutrients do we need to recover, and spiritually, what does that mean to us when we're doing something that we enjoy. So it's going to be about being outside and being part of nature. So that's the next one we're doing in June.
So beginning of June.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to be out here beginning of June.
Okay. So the info hasn't been posted yet, but it's going to be like fun shirts for everyone, a short 5K-ish, because I'm not really a runner myself, but it'll be a fun group thing with refreshments and a talk after.
I'll donate the shirts.
Okay.
Let me know.
That would actually work.
No, let me know.
We have like a saying. I already have ideas for like the picture. Just need specific sizes for everybody.
Yeah, just let me know how many shirts you need. I'll donate them.
Yeah. So as soon as I get that details together, I'll post it, and then people can sign up so we can have.
Okay. Well, I need about maybe 10 days before it happens, so that way I have enough time to print and ship and all that. Probably bring them with me or whatever. Okay, that's great.
That'll be another one we're doing outside, because I've done like meditation classes in the park, different topics that are more emotionally geared. So like Mother's Day, we had a special class that was all like mother and daughter, where it was like a deep reflective class about realizing that you're part of your mother and your mother is in you, but also enhancing self-love and how food can actually help shift that perspective that we have. which is really important for young kids and adolescents.
Wow, that's really cool. So just listening to you talk like this, I'm so proud of you. I know you've been trying to do this for a while, and we had many conversations about you,
Yes.
you know, filing for the actually official, you know, business name and filing with the state, and you finally did it. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So you were in corporate world for a little while, right? Well, you still are. We're not going to talk about where you work.
I was in healthcare.
In healthcare, right? Okay. Does that have anything to do with why you went the holistic nutrition route? Because you actually saw the value in what this provides versus what we have offered to us on a daily basis?
So for as long as I can remember, I have just known that I am here to help people heal. Okay, so you know my story, but way back when, I used to work in a pharmacy, which is the opposite side of the world of where I'm living now. So I thought that I wanted to be a pharmacist, right? And I worked there for a very long time. And working in the pharmacy, I realized that these people were just giving people drugs to feel better, but they were not actually helping them. They weren't actually getting better. So I would have really long conversations with the customers, and I felt like I was helping them more than the actual pain meds were. And I realized that I want to help them heal. I don't want to keep them on drugs for the rest of their life, because that's really just putting a Band-Aid on the scar or whatever. So my journey, and then I started working in a laboratory, which is great. It's on the other side of pharmaceuticals. It's behind the scenes. You learn so much. But then I realized these lab results don't really mean much.
You know, they're all sponsored. I wish they could wear sponsor shirts when they come into the room.
So
you know which
they have pharmaceutical companies bringing them lunch and the new drug.
You know what's crazy? One time, you know, I got into sales, right? And one time I was just in like a doctor's office. This guy comes in a suit and tie. He goes inside, and I was like, who's this guy, you know? Well, I started asking questions at the front counter. Who's that guy, like, in a suit? Because I was like, you know, I wear a suit. Like, that guy wears, like, what's a guy in a suit doing in a hospital? Well, apparently he's from a pharmaceutical company. He's trying to get that doctor to start prescribing their drugs. So it's like sales.
It's sales. And that's the thing with BZen Wellness. There's nothing to sell you. There's no sale besides giving you the chance and the gift of living your life to the fullest the way you want to, using what you've learned from the holistic nutritionist. So I don't have a bunch of products that I'm selling you or anything that you're signing up to do for the rest of your life. It's literally, I'm giving you knowledge and information, education, so that you can live the life you want to live at your healthiest state. So nobody needs a holistic nutritionist for life.
So you need it for how long do you think you need it for?
Well, everyone's different. So some people come in needing a lot of help based on their lifestyle. So you have a holistic nutritionist that takes you from where you're at and step by step grows on it, right? And some people just need to tweak certain things. They have specific questions about their diet or a physical ailment that they really don't know how to shift. They don't maybe know what nutrients to take. And some people will see a nutritionist for a while, for a year, and then don't need to see the nutritionist for like 6 or 8 months. They want to do like another reboot or sign up to do some kind of detoxing.
Okay.
But really, you don't need a nutritionist for the rest of your life. That would mean either you're not learning anything or that person is trying to sell you on something and keep you around.
Okay, so pretty much, you know, I have issues. I come to you, you help me out. It could be a month, it could be 2 months.
Right, because everyone's on a different level. So not everybody starts. Like I've had clients that have never grocery shopped for produce. Like they've only eaten processed foods and boxed foods. So then when I say, oh, start making a salad, they're like, what do I buy though? Like they're very uncomfortable.
Wow.
So even holistic nutritionists, like I go to the grocery store with you to teach you. This is a group of food I want you to focus on. Right? So it's not like a specific list. It's so much deeper than just a list of groceries. Nutrition is so much more than what's on your plate.
That is so awesome.
It's so much more than being like, because there's a lot of misconceptions with holistic nutrition. So I'm like, yeah, I know what to eat, thanks.
Okay.
But there's a reason why you're not doing that, right? So it's a deeper connection to food that we have issues with. That relationship with food needs to be really good for you to thrive, for you to be like making those choices automatically. That's where you want to be.
Wow.
So then when you indulge, because we're human, right? And there's a lot of social gatherings around food, and there's things that we just enjoy.
Like
You don't,
barbecues and
right, pizza, whatever. You don't feel horrible about it. It's natural to want those things.
yeah, of course.
So,
Well, I remember when you were switching over to vegetarian, we used to come over to your house, and your dad, he's just like always barbecues all over the
yes.
place, chicken, steak, sausages, salads, right, all kinds of stuff. I used to love coming to you guys' house, like for any type of birthday party, whatever
Right.
it was.
It's always a lot of food.
And then when you were switching into it, I remember that I was like, man, this is weird. Like, I was asking myself, like, why is she being so weird? It's just a steak.
Yeah.
Or it's just a chicken, right? But as honestly, like over the last few years, I've been kind of like starting to watch what I eat too. I can't really eat. The other day, I ate some cake. Next day, I went for a run, and I felt like I had a bowling ball in my stomach.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not, intermittent fasting. I started doing a little bit, and my life is changing over it.
Right.
So maybe I need to contact you. We need to sit down, and maybe I can adjust a few other things. Because, I got 3 kids. I want to live long. I want to see my grandkids one day.
Exactly. Like, some people are afraid to take that step. Like, I'll come to a class, but I don't know if I'm ready to work with you. And the thing is, when you work one-on-one, you get that individualized care because it's not a generic recommendation for everybody, right? Everything is individualized. I take into consideration what you do for a living, what you enjoy doing, your personality. We get into deep-rooted traumas. It gets very intimate and personal with your holistic nutritionist. I should say with me. I don't know how other holistic nutritionists work. But you have to get to the root of who you are if you're going to succeed. So each session's different. Some sessions start really quiet and private, right? And as we're building our bond and the person starts to feel better, they start to open up more. And that's not a coincidence. Because remember what I said, when you start cleaning up what you're eating and you're eating more nutritious food, those emotions start to remove themselves from the body. So when the emotions start to be released, you're more able to speak about it. Because now you're no longer that emotion, you're just an observer. So then you're like, this doesn't identify with me anymore. And that's where the transformation happens. That's when it's like, this is why I do what I do. It gets very emotional. Everybody gets crying. We're hugging. And you feel like you've really impacted someone's life.
Well, I can tell you're pretty passionate about this. No, that's great. So that means your clients are very happy because you are passionate about it. Because you're not all about just making a buck. And we talked about this earlier. You don't even like calling your business a business. You want to call it an organization that helps people. Right. Which is freaking great. I think we need more people in the world like that. Everybody just wants to make $1. Everybody wants to, chase the next client down. Everybody, nobody really is. Well, I'm not going to say nobody, but most people are not out there to serve other people. Right. And you are, which is really great. It makes me proud to be your cousin, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the corporate world. And I know you transition into this. Yes. And I know you still work, for a corporate company. And you're starting this business as a part-time gig. Yes. And I know it was a little bit scary at the beginning. We talked about it a few times. So what made you actually come to that realization when you're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do it. I don't care what happens. Let me give it a shot. Yeah, so BZen Wellness has been in the works for a very long time. So I've already told you this, but BZen Wellness is literally an extension of who I am. So I take it very personally. It's very much me. It's very much an extension of what I believe in and that education and knowledge that comes with it. So BZen Wellness originally started as the Zen Room back in 2017, which was just literally a women's empowerment group that I was starting, and we were just a bunch of women getting together, talking about mindset, believing in what you want,
focusing on what it is that you're going for. But it was strictly based on mindset and emotional shifting. Once I went into school and I graduated and became board certified in holistic nutrition, I knew that this was the path that I wanted to go on, because now I can connect spirituality and nutrition and really help people heal. The name BZen Wellness obviously came through a great conversation I was having with my best friend, because I always used to say, stay zen, when I was speaking with someone about pulling it back into yourself and realizing that you have control, you have the power. So staying calm means staying in balance, or that serenity within you. Having a conversation with my best friend on the phone, we were thinking of what to call my organization, because I was putting it on my resume. And as I was talking to her, I was like, oh my God, BZen, like B for Branka, but then also B as in the state of being. So being Zen is all about cultivating the balance within you, using nutrition as the modality. So I've been playing with this idea and imagining it for a very long time. And eventually I've had many conversations with you, but I just decided it's time to get the LLC, to actually have a business ID, to actually make this official. And I'm slowly but surely putting more time and effort into BZen Wellness, because that's 100% what I want to do.
That's awesome. And you also told me you kind of lower the hours you work at the
Yes,
company.
so it's like less and less at the other job, almost like as a safety net, but I'm able to squeak myself out of it, like slowly disappearing.
But that's great that you can actually pick your hours.
Yeah, so it's a process, and sometimes I think we use it as an excuse to say, I don't have time to work on my organization because I'm doing this. So you start to weigh both, and it's like, well, what am I getting if I stay in this job? And then you look around you, right? And you see examples in that person. You see examples in that person, the people that have been there like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, do I want to be this person? And it's almost like the sheer panic of like, I don't want that. So when you know what you don't want, you're closer to knowing what you do want.
Absolutely.
So it is terrifying, right? To be like on a ledge, but then you realize if you go off that ledge, you're never going to hit the ground. Like, you'll be okay. You'll free fall for a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a rush. And then eventually you're like, oh, I've been flying the whole time. I haven't even been falling. And I think that's when you start to really get the engine rolling on it.
Oh, that's really cool. Like I said, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know how long you've been working on it, and we've been talking over the years. You even came out to Okinawa, Japan, because they are Zen over there, right? And they live longer than
so
any.
Even that, like even Japanese culture, great book called Ikigai, which is all about longevity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that BZen Wellness, it's not about losing the weight and getting thin or skinny or whatever people think is happy. It's about longevity. So we want to stick around for as long as we can and enjoy life and be healthy.
I think that's number one. I think that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Most important thing in the world is health.
Right.
You can have, doesn't matter what you have. If you're sick,
right,
and you're at the doctor's every day and you're going through surgeries,
yes,
everything you ever worked for, everything you made,
mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. If you have family, doesn't matter what you created.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're dying or something like that. It's really, you can't really compare it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So longevity is the goal. So it's not a quick fix. There's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation. There have been people that have lost hundreds of pounds. They're still not happy.
Of course.
There have been millionaires that are still not quality people.
But there's a lot of them.
Right. So it's about longevity. When you start changing the way you eat, the relationship with food, the relationship with your life changes. Why? Because the relationship with yourself has changed. When the relationship with you and you is good, the relationship with everything on the outside matches that. So we're constantly creating, not even creating, we're just stepping into that role of who we are. The more you grow, that old person no longer looks familiar to you.
Yeah. And like, then you look back, you're like, what the hell was I thinking?
But there's a piece of you that's still you. Mm-hmm. And that's that little piece of you that's like, Like, I knew you could.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then your higher self is like, come on, there's more. Like, this is just the beginning. Like, you got to take the next step.
Wow,
So
this is some really good stuff. It's probably the best episode I've ever shot on this podcast.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. No, you have a lot of certifications. You're very smart.
Yes,
you know what you're talking about. And I think so. So what is that like when it comes to business? Let's say, what's the competition when it comes to other, Zen wellness? I don't know if it's centers, people that own their organizations, businesses. Well, what's the competition like?
There is no competition.
There's really none, huh?
Not a lot of
people.
It's not even about the number of people that are doing similar things. There's absolutely no competition with BZen Wellness because I am BZen Wellness. So it's not something you can just read in a book. The information is everywhere, but it's about specifically what BZen Wellness is. That I can have a workshop or a class and somebody can literally take those notes and try to present it, but it's not the same. It's not me. It's not you. It's not my voice. So there is no competition.
Okay. All right. Is there any other people that do stuff like that around here, or?
Honestly, not that I know of.
I don't think that's a very.
It's not that prominent in Northwest Indiana. Maybe if we were on the West Coast, there's more.
There's more like Oregon, maybe.
Yeah, like West Coast. There's acupuncture clinics, chiropractors, but specifically holistic nutritionists that are doing what I do. I really don't know other people that are doing it the way I do it.
That's great.
And I truly believe that clients will find their perfect practitioner. So you can't force it, right? So you have to be on that same kind of desired outcome to meet that right practitioner for you. So that's another reason there's no competition. It's like, look at how many car dealerships there are.
Yeah.
You go to what attracts you to that person or that company.
Absolutely. So what are the goals for BZen Wellness in the future? Like, what are you trying? Are you trying to have a maybe center one day? Are you trying to just keep it small?
So there's a lot of goals.
Okay. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, definitely looking at doing retreats in tropical regions of the world where we can do like week-long retreats where it's going to be different classes every day associated with meditations and even just like dancing exercises to get the energy within us moving so that we can feel liberated and connected to our higher selves, which is really important. And that's for men and women. Some of the classes I do are specifically geared towards women and women's energy and specifically women's emotions. But the workshops I'm hoping to do is actually get more men involved. I think men are trickling in because they realize it's not just about women when it comes to holistic nutrition.
I think everybody needs it.
It is everybody.
Yeah, everybody needs it. It's not just one of those things, that might not be for me. It's
right.
If you want to live longer,
are a human, then holistic nutrition would benefit from it.
Absolutely. If you want to live a healthier, longer life.
Right. And just even knowing like, I'm always craving this. Maybe it's a deficiency in one of the organs. So people sit there for years thinking they have some major issues when it could have been a small deficiency that would have shifted that craving. So they would have stopped eating that.
I have cravings sometimes.
And we all do. So
now you're making me think.
So you literally think about your emotions, your thoughts, your cravings in a completely different way after you do anything with holistic nutrition. That's the goal.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need to sit down.
Yeah, so it's like even like your mind, the way your mind works, the thoughts you think shift when you start shifting your food. So somebody who's eating a lot of fast food is going to have a lot of different thinking and a lot of different thought process than somebody who's eating a very clean diet and working out.
Okay, so what would you consider a clean diet?
So organic, non-GMO fruits and vegetables that are in season. Clean water, grass-fed beef if you are eating meat, or wild-caught fish.
Okay, so nothing like
fish
processed. Farms or any of that.
Right. So real food is a good way to start.
Okay, because I heard let's say salmon, like farmed salmon. it's like actually very terrible for you.
Right.
But the salmon that you like, if you would catch it in a river or something, is
Yeah,
really good
so
for you.
when getting salmon, you want to purchase wild caught. Farm salmon is just like
when it comes to government regulations, and if it says wild caught salmon on the label, is there any way the companies that are actually putting their meat out there, their product out there, is there any way they can circumvent the governmental system and actually have like a farm salmon? Because like there's always loopholes for everything.
There's loopholes for everything. So I guess it depends how much you trust the government. And
Okay, so
how much you trust how much you trust the FDA, because unfortunately the Food and Drug Administration allows plenty of chemicals in our foods that are considered safe.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you even put something in your body if there's this much of a possibility that could be harmful? Like, why is this even a conversation?
You know, I actually read an article like maybe a few months back that said there was about 36 chemicals they're put in our everyday foods. They're banned in all other countries.
Yeah, and it's more probably like 3,000.
3,000? I don't know where I read 36.
It's way more than 36.
Wow.
So not to get on way off topic, but the U.S. uses a lot more harmful chemicals, pesticides, dyes in our food than like European Union allows. Why? Unhealthy people need to go to the doctor, need to go to pharma, right? Where does the government get money?
Donations.
Pharma.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're in a system where the government is trying to keep you sick. And when you take a look at our healthcare system, if you just open your eyes wide enough, you'll realize that's what's happening. So your doctor's not meant to heal you. They don't know how to heal you, first of all.
Wow.
So that's very...
I think a lot of people feel that way, but they still do it because like everybody else does it.
Right. So I'll have conversations with people that are like, but my doctor said, and I'm like, okay, I don't have that scope of practice to take you off drugs, but if you don't question it, I can't do it for you.
There's nothing I can help you with.
So people will rather take that pill than being like, maybe I don't need to take this. You know, maybe there's another way. So ask questions. Question everything you're putting into your body.
Especially, you know, I do a lot of research, you know what I mean, on you know, who started the pharmaceutical companies, when they started making pills from petroleum, when they started doing all this stuff, when everything kind of started happening like early 1900s, when they figured all this stuff out. That's when they, you know, holistic nutritionist, there was person like a doctor that would heal people by natural remedies back in the day that was normal for like thousands of years, all of a sudden became lunatics, you know.
Right.
And well, what happened? Like, how do we go from that to this?
So pretty much people learned how to make money off of plants. So herbalism started, it's still there, but you know, people take herbs and now it's a synthetic form that you get to pay for, but you don't worry about it because your insurance covers it. So you're not going to spend $50 on herbs and nutrients when you can get a pill for $5, even though it's synthetic and probably causing you more harm than good.
Yeah, some of these pills, like think about it, like, hey, if you have anxiety, take this pill. Side effects, you know, heart attack, failed kidneys. I was like, I would rather be...
Like, that's anxiety provoking. If you just read all the side effects, you're going to have more anxiety.
That's just crazy.
So even anxiety, it's like we need to look at it at a whole body system. Everybody's anxiety is not the same. So if you just put a Band-Aid on it, you're still feeling the anxiety. You just don't express it any longer. So your body is still anxious. That organ is still getting very much reactive to that unprocessed emotion or that nutrient deficiency. It's just getting worse because now you have less of the symptoms. So it's like muted, but your body still feels it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why the dose has to keep going up.
Yeah, because I mean, your body's kind of getting used to it too, right? It's
Right.
getting used to the dosage.
Right. So then they have to increase the dose.
Yeah.
Oh, the medication isn't working anymore. Let's crank it up.
You know, average American person takes about 10 pills a day. So I'm looking at it like this, like I don't take any. So that means there's somebody out there taking 20.
Right.
Like, that's insane. And I know people, they're like, oh, I have high blood pressure, doctor put me on these pills. Oh, now I have kidney issues, so I'm taking these pills. So pretty much they're taking, one pill for blood pressure, another pill for kidney problems, another one to, clean their blood, third one clean the urine. I'm like, I don't know what else.
And a lot of times one drug does one thing or stops another thing from happening, so you need another drug to do that job because the first medication stopped it from happening. So it's like our body naturally knows what to do. We don't need to tell the body how to heal. We just need to give it the right nutrients. It will heal. That's what, we're humans. We're not robots. That's how it works. Your body knows exactly what to do. It doesn't need you to tell it when to wake up or when to eat. We have a clock, and it knows exactly what to do with the energy from one organ system to the next.
This is really amazing stuff.
Yeah, you just need to give it the right nutrients. And when you feed your body with the right nutrients, meaning healthy, clean food, your body says thank you. And the cravings dissipate. The emotions are balanced. Your thinking is clear. You start to cultivate that love. You know what that feels like. You want to spend time with the family. You create those relationships. Life is about longevity.
Every time I think about this, when I, let's say, drive next to McDonald's, there's like 30 people waiting in the drive-thru, like 30. And a lot of them wait in there like 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
I look at it like, if you went home right now, you would eat cheaper and healthier in those 15 minutes. You can make a quick salad.
Right.
Open up a can of tuna, throw it in there or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of bread. Like, it'd be healthier for you than McDonald's. Maybe it wouldn't be as healthy as what you would, refer maybe to eat, but it would be definitely healthier than McDonald's. So like, you're spending all this time and money in a drive-thru for no reason. Or they rush home to go, I gotta get McDonald's, I don't have time. Then they go home and they watch Netflix for 4 hours.
So that's another big concern, which is addiction, right? So most people know that there are no nutrients at McDonald's or fast food restaurants, but people become addicted. There's chemicals in that food that will create a response in your brain. So you'll want that, even if you don't want that. So it's just like somebody who has alcoholism or addicted to drugs. Like, yeah, you know better, but when it's presented to you, you're like, I kind of have to have it.
Yeah, you can't say no.
And there's a lot of food addictions. So that's another thing that getting on the road to holistic nutrition and BZen wellness, you start to detox from that. That's why energetic detox is a big part of the recommendations for each individual. You need to clear out the body. Once you rid the body, you fill the body up with nutrients, good bacteria, those cravings start to dissipate. The addiction starts to leave your body. And then years later, you can't even imagine eating that food or having the alcohol or whatever it was. Even the behavior or the thoughts. You're like, I can't believe I used to think that way.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh? Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you for all that information.
Yes, you're welcome. I love talking about it.
I know you were a little nervous about the podcast before we started.
I'm not a podcaster yet.
But no, that's great. And I really hope that maybe somebody out there listen to this, maybe contacts you, reaches out to you so you can help them out. You guys can work together.
Yes.
And guys, I'm going to leave her information in the chat. You guys can reach out to her at any time, right? This is her organization. This is what she's going to do for a long time.
Yes.
Very, very passionate about it, which I love. Passion is it's a driving force to everything you want.
Exactly.
It really is. So, Cuz, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. We're going to go get some dinner now.
Yes.
Hopefully you can... Yeah.
I was going to say, on the website, there's a little section that's for free consultations that most people, I ask them to do so that we can talk, see if we're the right fit for what each side is looking for and what I offer. That's the easiest way to contact me. Otherwise, directly through that phone number or email address is fine to reach out. Okay. Because really, the first step is, I feel, the hardest. Everything else is very step-by-step. Everything else is very much based on where that individual is at.
Okay.
You're not going to turn into a plant-based eating me, after like 12 years. You're not expected to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. There's this process for everything.
Right. Otherwise, it would be overwhelming. So.
Wow, that's really awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Kaz, thank you very much for the
Thank you for
information.
having me on your podcast.
Thank you for being on the podcast. Hopefully this episode catches on.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to help some people, right?
I hope so.
I'm excited about the 5K run. I'm gonna have to start running a little bit more. If I'm in town, I will run it.
Yeah.
I will run it. I'll do it. I'll get you the t-shirts, whatever you need.
It would be good to see you at one of my classes.
No, I would love to. I would love to attend. I really, me and Shala, we stopped like eating out. We don't eat out really no more. If you go to like church or something after church, instead of going and grab a bite, we go home, cook stuff. We started implementing more vegetables in our diets, less red meat, more like tuna and stuff like more fish. So we're slowly changing over, but we did it on our own because we started doing research. And I live in Southwest Missouri, and it's not the healthiest area of the country, right? People are very overweight. They can be however they want to, but I just look around and I'm like, man, I can't,
Right, because we're talking about longevity.
Yeah,
so
longevity. Like, I see
there's a lot of pressure on the organs when you think about unnecessary weight. So that's a big burden of physical stress on the body. So that's also going to have consequences, especially as people age. It's all different on the body.
Of course, because your body's getting weaker, you still got the pressure. It makes sense.
But it's awesome. It is usually a family project. So it's not about, one person's going this way and the other person's going this way. It's a family decision, especially when there's kids involved. It's a good way to instill those habits.
Good habits. Because, I read this thing, if kids develop their habits until the age of like 7 or 8.
And then you know what kind of man they'll be.
Yep, and whatever they develop at that time that's how they're going to be forever. Like it's kind of instilled in them, and it's just automatic stuff. Like they don't even think about it; they just do it. Trains their subconscious mind. And
you can change it later, but it's more work.
It's a lot harder.
It is. I know.
Trust me, I know. I know too.
Right. So when you can start with your kids being young, that's like half the battle. You're already creating who they're going to be in their 30s.
I thank God every day that I stumbled up into everything that I'm trying to do right now.
Right.
It's just so crazy. Sometimes you don't recognize yourself, but change is good.
It is good.
Change is good, and you know me, man. You know
I
was. I was a dipshit, Like I always say, like I don't, you know what I mean? If somebody told me, when I was 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if somebody told me, one day you're gonna have a podcast, one day you're gonna try to reach out to people, one day you're gonna serve people, help people, I would have been like, you crazy, man. I'm just ride my motorcycle and be in my car club, right? But over time, things happen. We change, right? Some of us grow up, some of us never do.
Growth is good.
Growth is always good.
I say sooner or later, everyone's going to get there. So you either get it now and you start, or you're going to get it eventually.
Yeah, when it comes to eating healthy, I just see too many people like die at horrible deaths.
Right.
Cancers for like 5-6 years, kidneys, dialysis. And you can take that as whatever. It's not going to be me, or let me. Or really
be like that's not in your cards.
Yeah,
like do everything you can.
Absolutely.
So everything starts with a choice. Every day we have choices to make. So the choices you make are reflections of who you believe you are and what you deserve. So if you believe you deserve wellness and a long life and a happy life, eventually those choices will be aligned with that. Just like relationships. If you truly believe what you're worth and your value, the relationships will be good because you don't accept McDonald's anymore, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense, yeah.
McDonald's isn't part of the menu. So you've elevated to what you're eating and what you're expecting and also what you're giving. You don't give McDonald's. You don't take McDonald's. Sorry, McDonald's.
No. It is what it is. I mean, it's just so many things out there. It's not just McDonald's. It's,
right. That was just one example.
Yeah, it's just an expression, kind of. It's just the most known fast food chain in the world. So, like, all right, let's talk about them, right?
Yeah.
I used to actually work there. So, yeah, that was interesting for about 3 months. Right? That was interesting. But hey, Kaz, like I said, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. This will be published tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much.
So you can see it.
Thank you to the viewers.
Where everybody can see it. Guys, I appreciate you very much. This podcast is sponsored by my apparel company, Black Eagle Designs. Go to blackeagledesign.com, and I will have my cousin's information in the comments, so you guys can click on her website, maybe submit for a free consultation or whatever you need to do. Love you guys. Hey, part of being stellar is be healthy. Okay, so let's all be stellar together. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you, and BZen.
Always BZen.